China's pattern of misconduct is well known. For decades, they've ripped off the United States like no one has ever done before. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year were lost dealing with China, especially over the years during the prior administration. China raided our factories, offshored our jobs, gutted our industries, stole our intellectual property, and violated their commitments under the World Trade Organization. To make matters worse, they are considered a developing nation, getting all sorts of benefits that others, including the United States, are not entitled to. But I have never solely blamed China for this. They were able to get away with the theft like no one was able to get away with before, because of past politicians and, frankly, past presidents.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Cube posts, and we have to ask, is there a China syndrome that has taken over our country? Have the elites gone to the dark side, and are they helping install a command control communist system of censorship and authoritarianism via the destruction of society to maintain their ill-gotten wealth? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. You guys are going to want to stick around and check it out. Hi, my name's Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know the drill. I start by saying thanks. If you guys haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button. And if you guys want to help out the channel, then click the bell and select all so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. Even though it's fairly obvious they're trying to put this channel out of business, as you see, the algorithms are in full scale suppression mode, pushing down the views on these videos, misreporting the views, skewing the numbers, and violating, obviously, our rights, our freedom of speech. But that's for a little bit later. We'll talk about that as we get into the latest Q posts. We have a lot to cover here. The last Q post that we covered here was Q post 4346. We're picking up at 4347. Then we're going to talk about some of the news stories that the fake news won't talk about, because they're in an all-out war against patriots who love this country, as in you and me, who want truth, who want a single-tier justice system, who don't want these privileged elite class to be able to manipulate the population and basically drive a race war or any type of other conflict, amplify, you know, these tragedies in order to keep us divided, so that we never really wake up to the true threat to our freedom, which is them and their lies and their corruption and their criminal mafia, which has been running things for decades and has entrenched itself in our government. But before we get into that, I just got to remind you guys, this video is brought to you in part by Brave Browser. Download it, install it, and run it today for free, and they'll make a contribution to this channel. It's a win-win. You get a great product. It's an internet browser. It blocks the ads. I guarantee you guys are going to really enjoy it when you try it out for free using the link in the description for your laptop, desktop, your smart device, whatever. It works on all your devices, and it's free, so check it out using the link in the description. Now, let's get into the latest Q posts. I'm going to try to keep this pretty short and sweet because I want to play a few clips at the end of this episode of an interview I just did with a friend of mine now, BRYSON. If you guys don't know about him, he's a musician. He has been doing some great work, thought-provoking music that we're going to look at the end of this video. I'm going to give you a little teaser of the interview that I did with him. But before we look at that, we're going to look at these latest Q posts. Let's start right here where we left off. Of course, we left off at this post where it talked about President Trump signing the executive order on social media companies, which was targeted at Jack in social, or Twitter, I should say, and it says, "You are warned, Q." So now this was like a follow-up I want to give you real quick about this whole story. So you guys know the original story was Twitter had editorialized President Trump's tweet when it tried to link an article to CNN underneath one of his tweets, basically saying that the president's claims about mail-in voter fraud were fraudulent or false or misleading. And then in response to that, President Trump signs this executive order going after these social media companies, saying that if they don't follow the rules and regulations as they're set out in the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, then they're going to lose their protection, their liability protection against lawsuits for content that's published on their platform. Okay, so that's where we were when we left off yesterday. Then this happened. Q puts this out there saying, "Jack, you were warned." Then Jack responds to President Trump by masking his latest tweet saying that it was glorifying violence, right? Now, this is a tweet where President Trump makes a factual statement saying that when you have looters, there will be people who will be shooting, whether it's the looters shooting at the people that they're robbing or the people trying to protect their stuff shooting the people who are trying to rob. That's just the reality of life. But that's glorifying violence, according to @Jack in Twitter, right? The same guy who is involved in all types of depraved, evil stuff and sick stuff that I don't even want to mention here. But I'll tell you this is where we're at, right? So this was a big, you know what, to President Trump saying, you go ahead, try to come after us. And this is going to be really a slippery slope, right? Because if they revoke the Section 230 altogether, then these social media companies are going to start kicking us all off. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google, they're going to start kicking us off their platform because they don't have enough lawyers to handle any of the lawsuits that could come. They're just going to start, erring on the side of censorship in every instance. And it's going to lead to probably the platforms crumbling in on themselves, but maybe not in enough time to help us. It'll actually hurt us, I think, tremendously as ahead of the 2020 election. But with that being said, that's where we're at right now, right? And to that, President Trump basically tweeted out this morning that he wants to revoke the Section 230 Act. We're not sure where this is going to end up, but I can tell you right now that this is a war, right? In the sense that these people are trying to weaponize their control over this platform, which they deceived enough of the population to get involved with by telling us that it was an open speech platform. And then when they realized they had a critical mass and they had the power to sway elections and to control things to benefit themselves, they just dropped the objectivity and started becoming censors and publishers and editorializing. So that's the deceptive practice. That's what these people, I think, are going to get sued into the next millennium for, because what they've done is the worst kind of deception, and it is, in my opinion, criminal, and it is a violation of our rights. It's going to be affecting our elections. So this is not going to end here, right? But I just thought I'd pick up on that story and kind of give you a follow-up on that. So then, of course, the next post here is this Joe Biden post where it says, "We are not prepared for a pandemic. Trump has rolled back progress President Obama and I made to strengthen global health security. We need leadership that builds public trust, focuses on real threats, and mobilizes the world to stop outbreaks before they reach our shores." Now, this is October 25th, 2019. This is right around the time that most people are in concurrent agreement that the Wuhan flu, the Chinese virus, the Kung flu, whatever you want to call it, became a major epidemic and inside of China and started spreading from there outward, right? Because it's in response to this, which is talking about their lack of preparedness, right? Which was shown by these countries who are not prepared for a pandemic. Now, this report is from October 24th, shortly after, if you'll remember, Event 201, which was on October 18th in New York, where they had an exercise where they simulated a pandemic with the help of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So a week after this event, you have Joe Biden tweeting out here saying, we are not prepared for a pandemic, right? And just so coincidentally, we had this same day as the Event 201 was taking place in New York at Johns Hopkins in New York City. You have this here, the Chinese official U.S. or Chinese official military games, right? This is what it was. It was called the 2019 Military World Games, held in, you guessed it, Wuhan, China, which the Chinese military said is how the epidemic started, right? They tried to blame the United States, saying we brought this disease to this place and spread it, which we know is fake, right? Because we know the Chinese communists are liars because they don't tell the truth. But, good luck trying to get somebody to explain this to you on the fake news because they won't talk about this stuff. So anyway, let's tie all this together, right? Joe Biden says we're not prepared for a pandemic on October 25th in response to a Washington Post article on the day before that was talking about how we weren't prepared for an event that was simulated on a week prior to that by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in New York, right? Where they simulated a severe global pandemic as if they were preparing themselves for that, knowing full well it was coming. And then it was coincidentally released or started seemingly the same day in Wuhan, 2019, October 18th through 27th in Wuhan, China. I mean, at the Military World Games, I should say. And then China tried to blame us, saying that we brought it to them. But this was people from all around the world. Every military pretty much in the world was represented here. And that's where the virus originated from. But you won't hear this on the fake news. You know why? Because they're in bed with China, and Joe Biden, who's in bed with China because his son took $1.5 billion from them. And he's saying, Joe Biden, you can go listen to the clip. I played this yesterday. I talked about this yesterday. All levels of U.S. government should be in bed with China like Joe Biden is. Says in order to cement this robust partnership, we have to go beyond close ties between Washington and Beijing. What does that mean? Which we're working on every day. Yeah, we know you were, Joe. We know the $1.5 billion your son got. It says go beyond it to include all levels of government. Oh, including all the special access program information that they took, all the military classified technology secrets that they were able to steal or were given through bribery and corruption inside of our own government. Oh, to include classrooms and laboratories, like the laboratory in Wuhan, where this virus was most likely genetically modified to become a global pandemic. I mean, these people are sick, and they won't even report on the news. And it's like, I feel like at some point this is them pushing for this final, trying to use the straw that'll break the camel's back here. Q says, coincidence or foreknowledge? I don't know. You tell me. I'm just showing you what I see, But they're going to call me a conspiracy theorist and, try to trash us as we look in the next Q post. It says sample, and it gives us these two tweets, one tweet and one Daily Dot article. First of all, this tweet, so this New York Times article, talking about the internet has connected us in ways unimaginable, but the QAnon community, united in its belief that the world is run by a criminal elite, shows the dangers of that power. So says the reporter who's working for the company that's owned by one of these criminal elite. I mean, of course, these people have no incentive to report the news that we're exposing because they're getting paychecks that are signed by the criminals who they're trying to cover up the cabal, the mafia, right? That they belong to. So there's no incentive for the New York Times to do real journalism. The only incentive that's there is if they want a paycheck and they want to stay employed, they're going to lie and they're going to create straw man argument against us and they're going to try to label it, do the whole gaslighting. That's what this all is. Read through these articles. There's not a shred of what we cover on a regular basis. It's just, oh, remember that crazy guy who went into that pizza place and shot a gun? No, what does that have to do with 99% of the stuff that we've talked about here? Nothing, but it's gaslighting. It's the straw man. It's whatever they can do to discredit our movement, right? To label us as conspiracy theorists. And then here you have the Daily Dot writing a hit piece about Christians who talk about QAnon. That's exactly what we do here, right? QAnon has its first church where Jesus is aligned against the Democrats. If I could say something, Jesus is our savior, right? But God and Jesus are aligned against evil, against injustice, against sick, godless heathens, whoever they are, whatever color, race, skin, creed, whatever, people who are evil, people who don't believe. And of course, it's Mike Rothschild writing this article. Why wouldn't it be? Because this guy has nothing else to do with his pathetic life except attack Christians and try to mock a military intelligence operation meant to wake up the people of America to the fact that the Chinese communists basically have already invaded our country. And we're already in a hot war. But by all means, read this article. I'm going to leave links to all of it if you want to read it. Because I don't censor speech. I let everybody read it. I say you beat bad ideas with better ideas. You don't silence people for asking questions or having ideas or thinking freely. That's what you do in authoritarian dictatorships. That's what they do in communist China, right? Fear, panic, loss of narrative control. You are the news now. Cute. So see, they have nothing left but to come after us with these baseless smear attacks, creating the straw man, gaslighting us, trying to make us look as crazy as possible, even though they know we're crazy like a fox. We're 100% right, right? And finally, it's a graphic here of George Soros saying, "Destroying America will be the culmination of my life's work." And I don't know if this is an actual quote, but it's from AZ Quotes. So if it is, then, I mean, I don't know what to say to that. Except we need to keep praying and put our lives to God. Q says nobody escapes this. And that certainly is true from what I think is going to be coming. So that's pretty much it here. A few more articles I want to talk about before we go. The Daily Mail reporting about 83 ballots shipped to a single address in an apartment complex. 83 ballots in California here. So you think they're going to try to steal this election? Let's say you take 83 of those ballots and you throw them in the garbage. Let's say you take those 83 ballots, you put them back in the mailbox because they're not yours. Let's say you do anything but keep them, or let's say you just keep them. That is fraud. You could take that, and then if you do use it, it's fraud. And the media wants you to believe that nobody has ever done this ever, and that it's never going to happen, and that to think it might happen means you're basically a conspiracy theorist. So, I don't know. You tell me what you think. Another story here. People have said that this former Jesuit Superior General, Adolfo Nicolas, dying in Tokyo was the end of the Black Pope, and as Q said, the Pope having a bad May may be related to this. Just thought I'd cover that. Minneapolis City Council VP says that she wants to declare a state of emergency, declaring racism as a public health issue. I mean, I don't know what to say to this. This is about as asinine as her coming out and saying she wants to declare stupidity a public health issue, even though it would obviously apply to her and her logic. You have MSNBC out, and they're saying that they just want to be clear, right? As the building's burning behind them, this is mostly a protest. Generally speaking, unruly. That's insane, okay? But these are the same people who create the division, who sow the discord, and then they race bait and they get people to go out and burn stuff down because they keep playing the same clips over and over again. They try to convince you that this is okay, that protesting is somehow okay as long as you're burning things down and robbing Target. But if you go out with your AR-15 and you go march on peacefully on the state capitol, that you're a terrorist. Yeah, I don't know what's happening to this world. But of course, this is just another indicator of what's happening to this world. But a positive note, transgender athletes competition violates women's rights. Obviously, this is a story out of Breitbart, and this is from the Department of Education, and I just thought it was worth mentioning. And yeah, that's where we're at. So with that, I want to show a clip from this interview I did with Bryson Gray. He's a musician, rapper, positive, Christian, conservative, Trump supporter. Great guy. You should check out his work. Listen to this interview I did with him. Then we'll talk about a few more things and we'll wrap it up. And welcome to Just Informed Talk. Today, I am blessed to be joined by a great artist. He's taking the MAGA community and the rap community on, and it's an amazing thing to see happen in real time. So I want to just give a quick introduction to one of my favorite artists right now, Bryson Gray.
What's up? What's up? Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on the show. So some of my fans are probably very familiar with your work, as I am, and really like it. Sometimes I'll be working 5-10 hours on the computer, and I'm just got your tracks going in the background because it's giving me the energy and it's got me pumped up, and I love it. Or I'm working out or whatever. But for those of you in the audience who are listening and don't know who Bryson is, let's go back, right? Because you were just telling me this story before we started recording about how we came to this point where you had this major moment with President Trump retweeting you. But how did you get there? I think that's an even more interesting story if you could let the fans know.
Well, it's actually funny because like me, I'm not the type of person that doesn't go hard. If I believe in something, I always go hard for it. So as soon as I started doing the research and realized that I was a conservative, and I've always been a conservative, then I realized that I supported President Trump. I bought a MAGA hat, and I used to wear it around. I used to hear about stories of people getting attacked for wearing MAGA hats, but of course I'm like, okay, it's not gonna happen, to me. So I started wearing it around, posting pictures with it, and I started getting death threats instantly from people like in my hometown. So, in Bryson fashion, I bought the biggest MAGA hat I found on the internet, and I started wearing that one around because you're not gonna stop me from doing anything. And I had a friend named Osiga who's very popular in the MAGA movement. And he said he wanted me to come to a Trump rally in Fayetteville with the hat on, but I was like, I don't know, I have to work this and this and this. And he said, trust me. So I'm like, whatever, okay. So I went to this rally in Fayetteville, and somebody just wanted to interview me, I guess, because of the hat. And I basically, long story short, I said I could vote for whoever I want to vote for, and nobody could tell me, who I could vote for. And that went viral. And then President Trump retweeted it, and he posted it on Instagram and said, "Thank you, Bryson." And I ended up going from like 1,000 followers on Twitter to like 20,000. And that's pretty much how I started. And then I started the MAGA challenge. And then once I started the MAGA challenge, that's when he retweeted again. And that's why I started being known for more of the music. So yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
Yeah, so it wasn't just President Trump's Twitter feed either. You actually went all the way to the White House. Is that correct?
Yes, I went to the White House. It's so funny because I had already signed up to go to the Black Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. before I went viral. I was already signed up to go. And then I went to that rally, went viral, and then got invited to the White House, and it was amazing, man. That never gets old.
So let's kind of switch it up a little bit, because I think what people would be really interested to hear about, besides going out and just listening to his music, because it is great, it's really thought-provoking, and it's what I think the world really needs is more talented artists going out there and just at least presenting a different message, where you're not going to talk about drugs and robbing people. You're going to talk about positive things. And one of the things that you talk about all the time, which I really take a lot of, energy from and really love, is your talk about your faith and your openness about your faith. Tell us how that really came into the picture with what you're doing now.
Well, even if you go back to the first time I went viral, I had on the Team Jesus shirt. So I've always been strong in my faith. I've always talked about I used to get attacked online by like the LGBT community and stuff because of my faith in God. It has only gotten stronger. And I put it in the music because that's what we need more of. We have enough of people talk about killing each other. We have enough of people talk about most of music, especially rap music, is very ungodly. That's just what it is. And so what I want to do, I want to be anti-vax. So I want to talk about my faith in God and my music. And because there's not enough preachers that are brave enough to really speak the truth about the Bible. The Bible is not all sunshine and rainbows. There are rules. There are things you have to follow. There are things you have to do if you want to inherit the kingdom of God. And so since everybody else can preach the sunshine and rainbows, I'm not saying we don't need that, but I'm a preach of stuff that I feel like is missing when it comes to my faith.
Wow, yeah, it's totally powerful, and it's clever and it's engaging. And I just as a fan, I can tell you right now, to hear you putting that message out there so loudly and with so much pride, it helps others, I think, stand up and be able to embrace that, because it is true in a lot of regards. A lot of the things you say, look, me and my family, I'm proud to put you on, and we're all sitting around listening, because it's like it is like you said, it's the opposite of what most of the rap and the music is today, which is why I find it so refreshing what you're doing, which is why I want to help get you out to a bigger audience if I can help. I know the president has already taken care of that, and God's obviously helped you along the way here more than anything. But I want to be able to just put a spotlight on you, show that you're doing great work, and tell us about anything else that you have. As far as I know, you have this major big album out now that's been out since February, but is it still doing well? Can we hear more about that?
Yeah, it was actually it's not, of course, when it comes to albums and music, the biggest weeks you have is your first few weeks, that first month. But people are still retweeting it. It almost made Billboard charts. If you go to my Twitter, you can see the email. I posted the email Billboard sent me. We barely missed Billboard charts, and to me, that would have been so big for a Christian political rap album that's going against culture. I call it counterculture. And to see that on the Billboard charts will be crazy. So I'm dropping another political album. Of course, I'm talking about God in the light, and I'm also dropping a faith-based album. Period. Like soon after that. So that's what's coming up next for me. Because I'm starting to focus more on social issues and really based around God. Because I don't know if you know, but Gen Z and younger, they're starting to lose faith a lot. Atheism is becoming really big now. And I think something needs to happen with that, and I think culture is the way to do it.
What else is going on in your in your world today that you want to talk about? Are there any issues that are really important to you besides, you know, kind of combating this atheism that you're wanting to take on with this next album? What does that look like for you?
I think everything is mixed in culture. I'm trying to take back culture because, man, it is like the reason everybody's leaving the church now because listen to the music. I mean, if you grow up in the culture, especially in Black culture, how I grew up in, all the music is kill this person, have sex, do this, do this, do this. Nothing godly about it at all. And then, so when you get used to that, this is how you want to live. This is what's considered cool. Once you get older, somebody tell you about God, and you realize, like, no, God is against this stuff, but you're already used to being ungodly. So then you already become one with the world. And once you become worldly and you dedicate yourself to stay worldly, then of course you're not gonna go towards God. You know, and so that's what I'm trying to come back, because everything is in one to me. I think the culture, the reason it is how it is, and it's not even just Black culture, the American culture has become ungodly. We're supposed to be one nation under God. And just look at what's going on, man. Come on. You have drag queens dancing in front of little kids, man. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's like, I'm getting scared because I don't think there's no way to turn it back. But the only thing that's keeping me sane is the Bible says that this was going to happen anyway. So I really should be expecting it.
Bryson, it's been incredible having you on the show. Let me end it here, you know, by giving you a chance to plug all your social media. I'll even leave links to all of your YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff, because I want people to go check out your work. Let them know how they can support you, how they can get the album, because I have a feeling that once I put this interview up, I have a pretty big audience, and you might get some other people interested, and I think that's great. So tell them how they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Real Bryson Gray. You can find me on Instagram at Bryson Creates. You can find me on Facebook at just Bryson Gray. And all I ask is just when I release the music, support it. I don't have a lot of money to put into marketing. I don't have a record label. I don't have any of this. It's just me recording in my room, trying to get a message out. Just follow me and support the message. Like what makes me feel good is when I see people supporting the message. You know, when I say things that I know is controversial, but it's for God's name and I get attacked for it, to see other people not being afraid to share that message is what makes me happy. To support the music, and that's really all I ask for.
Wow. Humble too. I really appreciate it. You know, go support this man. His work is really incredible. I'm a big fan. So you're probably going to be a big fan too when you're done watching this interview and you go start listening to his music if you haven't yet. But thank you, Bryson, for joining me here on this episode. And I hope we can have you on again in the future to talk about your platinum albums. And you know, we'll get there just little by little, right?
Yes, sir. Hey, man, I'm down to come on anytime, man. I love it. Any way I can get the message out, I'm down to do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Bryson. God bless you and good luck. Keep up the great work. We're rooting for you.
Hey, same to you, man. God bless.
So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that interview. You know, I just really want to highlight positive people, Christians who are out there doing God's work, and Bryson's one of them. So definitely go check out his work. Links to all of his stuff will be in the description of this video. And I hope you guys go check out what he's doing. But with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few more things before we go. You can find me over here on Twitter while you still can. 65,839 followers. So I'm gone down about 15, 20 followers over the last few days. But we know that the SJW virtue signaling left at Twitter who run it have gone to war against free speech and conservative Christians, particularly because they want to strip us of our right to speak. So, you know, support me while you still can over here on Twitter. I'll keep fighting the good fight. I also have a Parler account set up, which I guess is like Twitter on a different platform. I've had this for a while now, but I don't use this that much. It's good to see you guys over here. If you want to connect with me over on Parler, I'll leave a link to that as well in the description. Also, I have the Informed News account over here on Twitter. Same thing. You know, they're going to war against Christians, conservatives. They're trying to take away our free speech. They're trying to suppress us. They're trying to make us second-class citizens. But that's because they're, you know, morally deficient and just lack courage to go out and have their own ideas stand on their own. They have to silence you to get their ideas out for some reason. But yeah, and the president and anyone else who they disagree with. So you can also support me over here at justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. There's BITCHUTE.com, the backup channel, you know, if we ever have to use it for Just Informed Talk. And of course, if you want to financially contribute and support this work that I'm doing here, you can find me over here on Patreon, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. And it's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. I know you're creating content here. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything we've talked about here today will be in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to talk about liberty and what it says about it here in the Bible, because I think this is what we really need to hear right now in these very divided times. I have to remind myself of this because being humble and having humility and understanding that you don't know everything and that only God knows everything is very important, and understanding what God tells us to do as far as liberty goes is a good starting point for me, at least. And this is out of Romans chapter 14, verse 1 through 12. And I'm going to read this verse to you and then we'll talk about it briefly. It says, "Accept anyone who is weak in faith, but don't argue about doubtful issues. One person believes he may eat anything, but one who is weak eats only vegetables. One who eats must not look down on one who does not eat, and one who does not eat must not criticize one who does, because God has accepted him. Who are you to criticize another's household slave? Before his own Lord he stands or falls, and he stands, and stand he will, for the Lord is able to make him stand. One person considers one day to be above another. Someone else considers every day to be the same. Each one must be fully convinced in his own mind. Whoever observes the day observes it to the Lord. Whoever eats, eats to the Lord, since he gives thanks to God. And whoever does not eat, it is to the Lord that he does not eat, yet he thanks God. For none of us lives to himself, and no one dies to himself. If we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. Therefore, whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. Christ died and came to life for this, that he might rule over both the dead and the living. But you, why do you criticize your brother? Or you, why do you look down on your brother? For we will all stand before judgment, the judgment seat of God. For it is written, as I live, says the Lord, every knee will bow to me, and every tongue will give praise to God. So then, each of us will give an account of himself to God." And yeah, look, I'm right here with you guys in all of this, right? I'm disgusted. I'm appalled. I'm sickened. I'm saddened. I'm angry. I have all of these emotions about all the stuff that I'm seeing, whether it's burning cities down on the news, the liars on the news, the deceit, the deception. When they're attacking us, the hardest thing to do is to live a Christ-like life, to understand that not only can we not control what they do, but it's incumbent upon us to pray for them and to accept what happens in a Christian form so that we don't become the evil that they cast onto us. Because the whole point of all this, remember, is to pull us down to the pit with them. And that's why it's so hard for me to understand, how to balance the rebuking of evil, which I do wholly all the time, no matter what, against the forgiveness that Christ teaches us to have for those who we disagree with and those that we don't share the same values and beliefs with. But ultimately, where I come to in this is there is something to be said for individual liberty. And it says it here in the Bible. Let those who are weak in their faith be weak in their faith. When they attack us, we can defend ourselves, but at the same time, we're called to be bigger than them, to have that forgiveness that Christ gave to us in our hearts, so that we leave open the slightest possibility that if they do change, if they do repent, if they do truly believe in God, they can come back to the faith. And that's my message to you guys out there. As hard as it is, none of us are perfect. We're going to have times where we don't succeed in enacting God's will, living a Christ-like life in every single way that we can. But we have to persevere through every single day and do it, no matter if it's comfortable or not, with the knowledge that no matter what we say or do, each of us, you and me, will give an account of ourselves to God in the end. And we need to be ready to stand by every action we've taken. And that's my advice. I'm not perfect. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying they want to drag us into the pit and we have to avoid it. That's it, where I'm going to leave it. Thank you guys for joining me here. Remember to come here, hit the subscribe button. Also, hit it, punch it, tap it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me, though. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.